Hey guys, Rob Mitchell. Thanks for joining me for this mini day trading webinar on probability stacking secrets, broad concepts in getting an edge in the market in your day trading. Yeah, broad trading concepts that make a difference and more. And in this video, I'm going to show you some really cool things that you can use to stack things in your favor and to do it scientifically. Yeah. First off, past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. There's a risk of loss trading futures. Don't use the grocery money for trading. Yeah. You can pause this and read this if you've never seen it before. Yeah. In this video, I'm going to share important day trading advice and a day trading secret that I've taught for years, and those who have gotten this concept have benefited in their day trading, whether it be in the E-mini S&P futures, crude oil, or any reasonably volatile futures market that you can day trade in, and it's called probability stacking. I recently covered this in a Ninjatrader interview where they asked me about it, and here I'm going to show you some great ways to understand a little bit more depth than what we did in the interview and how you can think in terms of it so you can have the advantage. Yeah. Imagine that chart that you look at, the end chart that you look at, is actually made up of different groups of traders, or that it's made up of different components that end up looking like the chart that you see. In other words, there's more to the chart than just the shape that you see on there. Theoretically, the chart, when you look at a chart, it's showing you the collective human behavior of all different groups of traders that are participating in the market, each with different strategies and approaches that they're using. Yeah. So imagine that you had some kind of method for knowing those components, and also that you could have an understanding of the different groups that drive the market. So, for example, what would be some examples of groups? Market profile or volume profile traders. That's a big group there. Floor pivot traders, 30-minute trend players, 30-minute counter trend players, intermediate term trend players, day level players, and etc. You know? And so you can measure the behavior of those participants at or about the points that they trade at, which is on your chart. Yeah, and you can actually get metrics on that. Another form of this would be market mapping that we've covered in lots of videos on this channel. Or what's a different one, like in the stock indexes, it would be 500 stocks, or since they're capitalization weight, it could be about 6 or 7 different stocks do a substantial part of the movement in the stock market. And you could decompose that. I did that for years, trading baskets of stocks is what it's called. And you can establish different probabilities for how those behave. Similarly, you could take different probabilities from indicators that you use. This is also known as the 4-quadrant method of trading system development on the IndicatorSmart website. And you can use any of these that I've discussed here to help you get an edge, or you could use more than one to get an edge. In general, we use the different groups of traders, and we use probabilities from our indicators and probabilities from our market maps, and put that all together into a cohesive, comprehensive idea of what the market is trying to do. Yeah, and what's the most likely direction for the expansion. So, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to use different trend and counter trend market participants to keep it simple. We're not going to go down any big rabbit hole here. Not that these things are that sophisticated, because what I want to share with you in this video is the secret or the trading tip or advice of how this kind of thinking can stack things in your favor. Now, we've been doing this in the trading room for years. I've been teaching this using indicators and different groups of traders. So when you combine these, you'll see it can stack in your favor. So, and this is a method that I call probability stacking, have for years. Probability stacking is a well-known method, statistical method for making prediction based on the quality rating of prior data. You know, a quality rating or a percentage that it does a certain thing over and over again. And this is how you can make repeatable predictions and making trading scientific, yeah, if you will. So this is a secret of pro traders. It's a secret of hedge funds. Yeah. So let's take a look at what that might look like. This is some charts that I made up for you of what would be these different groups of traders. There's short-term trend players, long-term trend players, intermediate counter-term trend players, short-term counter-trend players, and random players. Yeah, and this chart on the bottom is the end chart that you would see on your screen. Now I just use a small amount of data for this, and so this doesn't look exactly like a trading chart. It's designed to put across the concept that we're dealing with here. You've got 5 different potential groups of traders, including a random component. And I coded this up so that it would generate and regenerate using the formulas that I have here. Yeah. So if I hit my cursor back again, it'll generate a different chart. Yeah, different chart, different chart, different chart. Now these are randomly generated, but as I was describing earlier, each of these components, you can actually get a metric on them. Let's imagine for the purpose of this video that you can get a metric to the tune of 75% on each one of these. This is half again better than random. Yeah, half again better than random, because as a day trader, you want to get caught in moves that go in the same direction for a couple of different periods or more. Yeah, so imagines that you can get 75% on each one of these, and I'm just using 75 because it's easy. You could use a different percentage. And then what I do with that is I input those things into this formula that I've created here, this spreadsheet, and I'm using 75%, just half again above random, because random is just what it's showing on those charts there. Yeah. So when you take 2 75s, imagine that this 1% is the percentage for the short-term players, and that the 2% is for the percentage probability for the longer term players. And the third one there, right there, is the intermediate counter trend players. And this one right here is the short-term counter trend players. And number 5 here is our random component. I could put those labels in there if I wanted to. But these are the random ones. So here's the question. What's the impact of the random players on when you do this? And the answer is, well, if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I have 5 of them at 75%, the probability of being correct is theoretically 100%. Yeah, theoretically 100%. What happens if I drop that to 50? It drops it by 1%. So I'm going to leave this guy at 50% because it is our random component, and random is 50%. And what happens is that I don't get any change from the 4 of the other groups, the short-term trend players, long-term players, the intermediate counter trend players, the short-term counter players, etc. I could put other groups in here as well. You'll see there's another one over here. But we're not using that one for this particular video. So I've got 2 75s. When I get 2 75s, it gives me 90%. So if I can make a reasonable estimation of what any 2 of these groups are doing, and the rest of them are random, then I will expect to get 90%. If I put 50, 50, 50, 50 in here, I'm going to get 90%. I'm going to put 50 in there, 90%. Put 50 in there, I get 90%. So if I have 2 of these at 75, and then I'm able to find another one at 75, there's 96% says that I'll be right. If I can find a 4th one at 75%, that says 99% I'll be right, even though I've got a random component in there, which means I don't need to worry about the random component. What happens if one of these guys is only 30%? Yeah. Oh, look, I have 30%. I got 3 of these guys at 75%. There's a 96% to be right. But if I've got one of them, say I get the short-term counter trend players wrong, these guys, 4% is short-term counter trend players. If I get those guys wrong, and I'm only 30% right, which means they go in the opposite direction from my prediction, I'm still 92% to be right. Can you see how these basic things stack in your favor? If I get a few of them right, it doesn't matter if I've got a random component. It doesn't matter if I'm wrong on one of them. How about if I get this guy wrong to the tune of 25%? Well, now I got two 75s in there, and I've got a random component. I get one wrong at 25%. I end up with 75% to be right. I'm 75% to be right, which is the equivalent of these guys over here, any one of them. And so if I also have that with the short-term trend players being at 30%, it knocks me down to 56%. So I probably want to make sure, just in general, that I've got a few of these right. And so this is why we do this with about 5, 6, or 7 groups of traders each day. We're just keeping track of making a reasonable prediction as to what it is they're trying to do. And what happens is when you do that is it ends up stacking things in your favor. And this is why I call it probability stacking. Yeah, so we've covered what is the impact of the random players. It doesn't change. Yeah. And what is the impact of one or two of these predictions fail. Yeah. You could knock it down pretty well. You're probably not going to be worse than random wrong with this kind of a scheme. So if that were the case, and you got these wrong at a random basis, you'd still be banging 90% if you got those first two right. Yeah, and this spreadsheet's really cool for kind of exploring these kinds of things. But as a general rule of thumb, if you've got two 75s and you don't have anything against, you're batting 90. And if you've got three 75s, a third one, you're going to be batting about 96%. Yeah. And so I don't spend a lot of time trying to do math while I'm trading. In fact, that's why I just come up with a general rule like that. If I've got a few things stacked up at 75%, it's going to take a whole heck of a lot to prevent that from being correct. Yeah, is the idea. And so how do we establish a reliability rating for these kinds of things? Well, one of the ways we do it is we use smart trade markers from IndicatorSmart, and we actually go mark on the chart for what different indicators are doing, and we get a metric on it. Yeah, a lot of times, it used to be for years, in the first years of the room, we couldn't get much of anything above 84%, but these days 90 and 94% are not uncommon. If you get 94% into one of these guys, it skyrockets pretty quickly. Yeah, it's not a guarantee. Yeah, but that's how we do it. We use trade markers. Another one that we use is market maps. Yeah, we have known probabilities for certain events that happen throughout the day. In fact, the market maps have hundreds of predictions on them, but we only use the ones that are convenient for us to use or that we want to keep track of. Yeah. If you want to learn more about market maps and the use of smart trade markers from IndicatorSmart, there's a whole bunch of videos on this YouTube channel that cover those kinds of things. So be sure to subscribe and take advantage of that. Yeah. Sure to subscribe and take advantage of that. I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah, and so this chart was made up of different behaviors of different groups of traders, or these could have been indicators, or they could have been different stocks, or however you want to slice it and dice it. Yeah. It's pretty straightforward and simple, actually, in the end. Yeah. So. And like I said, just keeping it simple. Yeah, so it's a simple concept, but if you can start thinking in these terms, then you can get the advantage. It's always super important when we're exploring new concepts like these, if they are new concepts for you, is to ask the question, what can I do with this information? And how would I have to change my thinking in order to align myself with this kind of knowledge. Yeah, we've spent years developing these things, and I can share with you, we've been doing it long enough I can really boil it down to the most simple, actionable points. Yeah. So further, it's important to take the concept and develop them into more fully actionable risk management systems using tools and technology. Like, as I had mentioned before, the 4-quadrant method from IndicatorSmart, which is based on the exact concepts that we're talking about here using premium trading indicators for NinjaTrader. I teach these methods and more advanced technologies for trading, trading secrets, tips, and associated nuances in my trading room daily. And you can learn more about any of these things, whether it be probability stacking, market mapping, trading rooms, and the 4-quadrant method at IndicatorSmart. I suggest you go over there. If you use NinjaTrader, opt in and get your free NinjaTrader indicator, heat map indicator. I think you'll enjoy that. And that's what I have for you today, guys. Yeah, so all trading resources can be found at IndicatorSmart.com. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you again on the next one.